Very good. My name is Joe Horrigan. I've been in practice for over 30 years, all of it in sports medicine. My private practice career was primarily multidisciplinary, and that was just a path that was attractive to me. Sports medicine came naturally both by seeking certification. So I'm a diplomat of the American Chiropractic Board of Sports Physicians. As you did, Adrian, I also sought my CSCS. Strength and conditioning was a natural partner to sports medicine. We can look at low-level strength and conditioning and call it rehab. We can call high-level rehab strength and conditioning. It led to a partnership at one point with a large group. And through that group, we became an official medical services provider for the USOC for the 2012 Olympic cycle. The sports he worked with the most heavily were hockey, track and field, volleyball, and weightlifting. In 2016, I received a call from SCU, and I've taught sports medicine at SCU since 1994. And also have taught differential diagnosis of the neuromusculoskeletal system since 2005. 2016, I received a call from Dr. Melissa Nagari, and she said, "We have an unusual opportunity here, and I'd like to talk to you about it." SCU was approached by the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department Training Bureau. They were very unhappy with their speed of care, quality of care, outcomes, and patient satisfaction. And I thought it was fascinating that they came to SCU.
Yeah.
And they said, "Okay, we want you to lead and develop a new department, tactical sports medicine." And the first 18 months I spent embedded at the LA Sheriff's Training Academy
That sounds
to learn and to observe what was leading to injuries and what they go through every day. And I don't pretend that I know what it's like to go through that and to be all that they are every day. But I got a chance to glimpse through the window into their life and watch defensive tactics, watch physical training, watch their classes, watch their role-playing scenario, their stress training days, their final cumulative physical tests. And after 18 months of the department just being me, we've had a little bit of reorganization here. So I now have the sports medicine residents with me too. But now we have 9 people in our department. And it was just taking a different perspective of, to provide the highest quality care, we had to provide front-loaded care. We had to spend time on the history and the exam. And one of the lieutenants at the training bureau noticed that the North Academy was performing better with their injuries compared to the Academy in East LA. A DC they were seeing who happened to be on the Board of Regents for SC, Dr. Jeff Bound. Never saw myself going to the LA Sheriff's Training Bureau Academy every day.
Yeah.
For much less for a year and a half, but it was an incredible experience and required many conferences and just enormous volumes of published literature to try to understand what the problems are. And they kept talking about a phrase, "I'll be fine, it's just another locker room." And they said, "No, it's not." And they said, "You have to understand the culture." And it took me a long time to understand what that meant. Mm-hmm. So we were able to understand, and those in law enforcement are very slow to trust. And it took a long time to break through. Yeah. I mean, there were some very long, frustrating months. So the recruits have a 22-week academy, but they also have state-mandated requirements. So if there's an injury and they miss 6 physical training sessions, they're dismissed or relieved from the academy. They're separated. Yeah. If they miss 6 hours of defensive tactics, they're separated. And there's also, of course, academic failure and failure to meet physical demands, sleep deprivation, because either they're working 6 days in a row, 7 days in a row, back-to-back shifts. Where do you find good food at 3 a.m.? what happens on those mandatory overtime shifts if it's your anniversary, if it's your child's birthday, and they say, sorry, you have to work. Something new into that culture is often viewed with skepticism. Yeah. I would say, how am I ever going to break through? And he would say, be patient and help them with their pain. And when I also learned that they were waiting 5 to 7 months to get an MRI, yeah, and we got it down to 48 hours or less, that really changed everything. So I didn't realize how, like a locker room, how fast information travels. Uh-huh. So they started to understand we could fight for them. Mm-hmm. And at that point, drill instructors started to come in. Part of the team here is we hired the 2018 TSAC Coach of the Year, Coach John Hoffman. Okay. And he brought immense value because once we could try to get them out of pain and go through the basic rehab, we actually had to strengthen them and prepare them for duty again. Mm-hmm. And that's immeasurable. So we've had, fortunately, our patient satisfaction surveys have been through the roof. Yeah. So we'd worked with a lot of NHL players, and then we started working with a minor league team. Back then, it was the IHL. And my thought was, after all this work with NHL players, we'll dominate this team. And I wasn't even asked a question until February. And I thought, what is happening here? And it finally dawned on me, I was now part of management. Yeah. I was now not trusted. Yeah. And need to learn to coordinate and work with the head ATC and the athletic training staff and the rest of the internist, orthopedist, whatever the case may be. Yeah. It takes time to build that relationship, but once it's built, it's invaluable.
Yeah. Yeah,
what we learned to do is we had to respect the environment. And it was very much, as you said, if someone's spending 60 hours with these athletes, they live with them, they travel with them, they eat with them. They're mending their equipment, they're taking care of all their injuries. And as you said, that on game night, somebody shows up. They have to respect the environment you just talked about and the people who are spending all that time with them. You don't ride in on, a white horse for 2 hours and think you're going to save the day. That too is a different culture. Yeah. And the film industry itself is a different culture. It purely came about by trust and a belief that there was credibility and honesty and communication, because obviously there's a lot of money on the line. And when a film is facing being shut down because of an injury, it's not a pleasant place to be. When you talk about if you're looking at $100 or $120 million, $140 million film being shut down, there are a lot of angry people. The Matrix was the first big film, and so there were a lot of lead people in that, but there was a problem that needed to be managed and dealt with, and it kept everything going. And because of the success of the film, that led to other opportunities, because then it felt if I could be trusted with that, then I could be trusted with something else. And there are many times that people would say, look, why can't we?